Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Modern Open here in sunny Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Corey Baumeister. Say hi, Corey.
What's up?
We have 4 rounds of Swiss down. We got 3 more of Swiss and the top 8 all coming at you today. We started with 73 players. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty where people are going to start winning a match and then they can double draw in, or they got to win one of the next 2 matches and then they can draw the other match or something like that. And when you get to this stage in the tournament, the math gets a little wonky sometimes, but what you're really going to be watching is great players fighting for those coveted 8 slots. We're giving away $5,000 in cash, but not only that, we're giving away tons of leaderboard points to the top 16 finishers. We're also giving away prize wall tickets, the whole 9. ApexCon's always a fun event with tons of sides. It's not just the main, this 5K. We have chaos drafts and we got speakeasy drafts, all sorts of cool stuff going on. Make sure to head on out to Caldwell, Ohio for the next Apex event. It's going to be July 26th, I believe Ross said yesterday.
Sounds right.
Don't quote me on that. This match, round number 5. Corey, give me the rundown.
Yeah, let's check it out. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We have a deck that really we have not seen in a very long time, and that is Kethis combo.
I've never seen it in this format.
I don't think I've seen it in this format either. Yeah, it was maybe on like some of the arena formats. Yeah. It was doing some good stuff there in Historic or whatever. But
it was like pre-banned in Pioneer almost. Like it got banned very fast in Pioneer.
Yeah, it was part of those first wave, like, you know, getting copycat combo out of there, Kethis, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's a really awesome deck. Kethis, the hidden hand. The whole goal is to fill up your graveyard, activate Kethis, keep bringing stuff back like Emery to mill more cards, and then eventually you will Jace, Perfected Mind, mill your opponent out, or you'll start by milling yourself out to really just get enough legendary permanents into your yard, and then you win via milling your opponent out. You also get to play a cheeky grinding station, as I felt like that card got banned with Teamer Breach with Underworld Breach getting banned, but actually does some good work here. Redundant Mox Opals, redundant Mox Ambers. You can mill yourself and start getting some good stuff into your yard. And then Agatha's Soul Cauldron is another card that's really powerful in this at enabling Kethis, even if it's in your yard.
Now, we've seen, ever since the Underworld Breach ban, we've seen people try to do like Jeskai Ascendancy combo.
Yeah.
Every combo, but really the core is Mox Amber, Mox Opal, Emery Lurker of the Lock, and Tomio.
Yes.
This deck has all 4 of those cards as well, and we're just trying to essentially explode fast mana and then find any kill.
Yeah, basically every single one of the many Breach players by the end are in shambles, and they're trying to re-feel that feeling in any way, shape, or form. You also get to play 4 Rumbles. You know, these Rumbles look phenomenal in this deck. Yeah. So, yeah, it looks really powerful. Also played by a great player for TJ.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have a solid Mardu energy deck featuring a couple Sephiroth as some of the new inclusions, which looks real good when you pair it with Goblin Bombardment.
Yeah, I love the new Sephiroth. I think it works really well in all forms of like Boros, Mardu style tokens decks. It has the ability to sack something when it comes into play, so it actually can flip a Johnny the turn that it comes into play.
Yeah, sack the cat, sure.
There's a static whenever one of your guys dies, drains them for 1/2. So with Bombardment, like you said, just goes pops off really well. So.
Yeah, and if you can ever really flip it, you know, you can do some serious work. And it's whenever another creature dies, not just yours. Yeah, so it's real nice. It's a Zello-proof, it's a cutthroat, you know, like
Blood Artist.
Yeah, Blood Artist. It's a Blood Artist, correct. Yep.
Cool. All right, so that's the matchup. TJ Radizek on Kethis Hidden Hand combo versus Zach Spores on Mardu with some new Final Fantasy cards. They're ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down for round number 5. All right, it's going to be Zach Spores on your left in the gray hat, TJ on your right with the gray shirt, blue hat. And it looks like Mardu's going to be on the play with Zach Spores. We're going to go fetching.
Wow, they are wearing the exact inverse outfits here.
Oh, my gosh.
This is some symmetry here. I love it.
They're Gangle Doppers.
I think the play is very important for Zach. This seems, you know, we don't have a lot of data on Kethis combo. It's not a very commonly played deck when it comes to Opal Mox Ambers, but
52% against Mardu.
Exactly. Yes. You took the words out of my mouth for sure.
Ocelot Pride, the play for Spores. Now Radizak going to go turn 1, Hallowed Fountain untapped, and then double Mishra's Bauble into turn 1. Emery, what a start.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you can get this combo going, you feel incredibly, incredibly powerful. And something I haven't been able to say for a long time is, wow, Emery milled over the grinding station, too, which is very, very awesome to finally say once again. I thought these times were behind us, but seems like brighter days are still in our future.
All right, back to Spores for turn number 2. Going to lead with Galvanic Discharge, so Emery down. Going to gain 1 energy after the fact, and now we can also attack for 1 with the Pride, gain a life, and that's going to let us get a token on the end step. Let's see if we have another thing to deploy for that 1 mana.
Yeah, regardless, being able to deal with the Emery is very important. Even just bringing back the Mox Opal, you know, the grinding station is a little bit more of a meme. It's not the biggest deal, but just getting rid of Emery is a big game for sure.
All right, so TJ going to pop 1 of the Mishra's Baubles to draw an extra card, but leaves 1 in play, signifying that he has maybe another Emery or some other reason to keep artifacts around. Here is Mox Amber. No legend yet, though. There's a Saga's the Land.
And TJ did run a bit of a risk when you kind of wait to sack your baubles up against a Mardu deck. You know, had no indication, I guess, that it was Mardu, as this isn't an open deckless tournament, but you do got to be wary of Bowmaster when you're just planning out your baubles. That's always a very important thing.
All right, so Rona and Tamio deployed with the Mishra's, or sorry, with the Mox Amber and the 2 lands. Now, how does Rona operate in this deck? Is it the same? You know, I've played the Retraction Helix builds in Pioneer where you like bounce your Tormod scripts a million times and stuff like that. But is there any sort of other combo here, or is it just one of like a loot engine?
It's a loot engine for the most part. There is no Helix, any kind of combo aspect like this. It is just the way to, number 1, either put Kethis into your yard or find Kethis to be able to cast it, as well as putting some other legendary cards in the yard. So when you do activate Kethis, you have enough fuel to get going, because it's not as easy as, oh, I have Kethis and, you know, now I can just activate and win the game. You do need some more work in this Kethis combo deck, so facilitating it with a card like Rona, very helpful. And there's just a ton of legendary spells in this deck, so it gets to kind of just untap and draw multiple turns.
All right, Spores does draw that Orcish Bowmaster for turn, which you mentioned just a turn ago. I see a couple Goblin Bombardments as well. We'll see how he wants to spend this turn, but this could be bad for TJ if he's not careful with that Mishra's Bauble.
Yeah, looks like we are holding up Bowmaster plus some removal here. This looks like Zach trying to bait out this bauble here. Ooh, looks like it's going to work. Now, it's not the absolute biggest deal because this is detrimental when you have an Emery, as just the ping from Bowmaster plus the draw will deal with Emery. But both of those creatures have 3 toughness, so you don't get anything for free here besides 1 Orc army if Zach wants it.
All right, so now we're moving to TJ's upkeep. We have a Mishra's Bauble draw trigger on the stack, and Spores is going to deploy Orcish Bowmasters. We're going to deal 1 damage somewhere and make a Orc army.
I didn't love the timing on that, as now TJ can respond with Rona. If you're going to play it at the upkeep before anything happens, you might as well play it at your own end step.
I thought maybe he would try to do like combo damage and put, you know, 2 damage on either the Rona or the Tamio, but you're right.
Yeah, then TJ just doesn't activate or draw.
Right. Okay, so now TJ can attack with Tamio, make a clue. We can also loot with Rona, and while both of those can force the Bowmaster trigger, you can use it to transform the Tamio here, and it won't be that detrimental.
Yeah, not too bad now, especially because almost assuredly Zach pointed that damage upstairs. And the one thing with TJ's deck, you know, that is a bit different from, you know, traditional Breach decks is you don't really play a lot of removal or have the ability to play basically any. So a Bowmaster on the battlefield is just phenomenal against TJ.
Okay. Well, we do have Urza's Saga. Is there a Shadow Spear or something that can allow him to really turn these constructs into something serious against a token?
Not really. Only Spell Bomb. We have a Vexing Bauble, which is not going to be good, as well as Haywire Might as your utility outlets, and then just the traditional Moxes and Baubles and stuff. So, yeah, nothing really to to leverage this. The spell bomb is about as good as it gets to bounce Bowmaster and then start drawing a bunch of cards, but that feels pretty bad.
All right, so we're going to start with Goblin Bombardment and Zach Spores. And Ocelot Pride. I don't think we're going to be able to gain life, though, so we're just going to pass it back. Don't want to send any of our creatures into this somewhat large construct token. These tokens provided by our friends at Once Upon a Galaxy. Make sure to check your iOS or Android store and play Once Upon a Galaxy for free today.
I do think Zach has Sephiroth in hand, which actually looks pretty good this next turn because you can just auto-flip it right away.
Yeah, it's pretty disastrous if it comes down next turn for TJ. We'll see just what it can do, but all I know is it looks sneakily like a Blood Artist with a bunch of other text on it.
Yeah, that flips into a 5/5 flying Angel Nightmare avatar. Yeah, pretty nice.
You start hearing like Italian opera music behind it when he comes down.
Yeah. yes. One of the greatest villains of Final Fantasy, or just any game. You've nailed it.
Something like that. I don't even play. All right, here's Emery Lurker of the Lock. Wow, he looks hot in that picture. I'm sorry. He looks hotter in that picture. Jeez Louise. No wonder y'all be buying this set.
Yes.
All right, here's Attack with Tomio just to get another clue token. And TJ going to send it back. So now we get to see exactly what Sephiroth can do. Let's leave it on the screen for a minute or two, because this thing is going to be the focal point of this turn. I don't want to say guarantee it, but I think so.
Yeah, I'm still not 1,000% that was the card in the back of the hand, but it looked like it, and none of the other options in the deck made a lot of sense, so I think the Fabled Soldier is about to come and play.
All right, so it says when he enters or attacks, you may sack another creature. If you do, draw a card. So if he chooses to do that, he can sack the Orc Army, maybe?
Yeah, seems good. The 2/2 on the battlefield is not the biggest deal. And then if you're really trying to flip it, you can do something like attack with one Ocelot Pride, allow first strike damage to happen, then sacrifice it to bombardment, deal 2 essentially with the drain. But if we're not playing it pre-combat, maybe we just don't have access to it.
Yeah, okay. Let's get it off the table. Now I'm sad. All right, so TJ going to block. Spore's going to just throw it at face. Yeah, it's a white. It looks like a white background card. Is it like Voice of Victory, maybe?
We're about to find out right now. Oh, okay.
It's the new Ragavan.
Is it? That looks like a Final Fantasy card.
It is a Final Fantasy.
Oh, Ragavan is in the bonus sheet? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to gain a life. Are we at the City's Blessing yet? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, City's Blessing. So now we're going to start making extra tokens. And with Goblin Bombardment, we're going to start tossing them where they need to go. Face or at the combo creatures.
So still pretty far away from lethal when it comes to Zach's position, but we're still seeing TJ be pretty far away from any kind of win as well. As cool as the Kethis combo is, you're a predominantly blue deck that is then playing a Abzan card.
Yeah, but he's got he does. I guess he doesn't have the ability to play the Kethis with these because the Mox Amber is just blue.
It's just blue, yep. But outside of that, we are, 2/3 the way there, and I do think we have it in hand.
Okay, well, we can target a Mox with Emery, and then we can float a Mox and then play a Mox, but looks like we're going to go for Haywire Might instead so that we can Zorp up this here Goblin Bombardment and gain 2 life.
Yeah, that makes sense. That is definitely the only real scary card from Zach's side. Otherwise, these constructs from TJ are just doing a fine job at playing defense. Wouldn't be too shocked to see him just pass and be as defensive as possible.
Yeah, not even going to get a clue with the Tomio attack, valuing that 0/3 block against one of the 2-power creatures like Ragavan from Zach's Spore side.
Yeah, and then with a Kethis, you have a decent amount of stuff to exile, but I don't see a Jace in there. Multiple Emerys kind of gets it done as well, because the way it works is you exile with Kethis, and then all the cards that are left in the graveyard that Kethis activation sees. So then you can play all of those. Then you have to keep a separate graveyard, essentially, which gets a little annoying because then you have to reactivate to be able to get the second subset of cards that you've milled into your graveyard.
All right, Spores actually picks up a nice one with Raven Charm, so he could exile the graveyard in response to a Kethis, or just use it to blow up a Kethis when it's convenient.
Yeah, no kidding. Either mode is phenomenal there. But also, you might want to think about trying to kill some creatures to push through some damage, but...
Gonna go ahead and just eat the graveyard to make sure nothing bad happens, and then we're gonna play Goblin Bombardment and send it back.
So this is a nice little play here from Zach. Zach has the graveyard in control, as Kethis can win the turn you play it, but you do need like a good amount of mana. You need like some extra Emerys, that kind of stuff, so it's not very easy to do. So has the graveyard under control. TJ will have to refuel that and then combo, and the battlefield's pretty stable at the moment with that Bowmaster preventing all this card draw. So pretty solid spot, honestly, from both players.
Plaza Hero the lands for TJ for the turn. Let's get Plaza of Heroes on screen. This is a nice one in his deck because it allows you to play any of the colors for your legends, but also allows you to protect your Kethis when you're kind of flooding out with all your extra Moxen and stuff later on. And then when you're milling over stuff, you can use it to get something back from the graveyard. So, or is it, no, not this one.
No, gains hexproof and indestructible, so protects the Kethis. But yeah, just a phenomenal land in this deck. There's so many legends. Ends up being really, really powerful.
Now, Spores going to go back his way after TJ deploys Teferi. Time Raveler ticks it up to 5. Can play Sorcery's at instant speed here, but mostly just using it to, I don't know, maybe bounce Goblin Bombardment next turn, or the Bowmaster before he starts popping off. Yeah,
definitely an option. And the way it works with Teferi and the interaction with Bowmaster, it's not favorable. You know, you bounce the Bowmaster, they still draw the card and you get to ping.
Well, with the Teferi in play, doesn't it bounce Bowmaster and then it's in hand, so you don't have the punish?
Oh, I guess if you bounce something else, then the Bowmaster pings the Teferi. Okay, that's right. But then you give them a Bowmaster back, which is unfortunate. I think Bowmaster actually checks itself if it gets bounced. I'm not 100% though. That would be where I would ask one of our many lovely judges for confirmation, if I even wanted to make that play. And I agree, TJ wouldn't want to do that quite yet.
All right, so TJ going to tap 3 here. And it looks like we're going to deploy one of those Kethis. And we don't have a graveyard anymore thanks to Raven Charm, but it's a 3/4 body. I think it even has a static of all your legends cost 1 less as well. Yeah,
nice little cost reduction aspect. And yeah, 4 toughness is definitely real. But it looks like TJ is pivoting plans here and trying to get a little bit busy with that second Urza Saga that he just drew. Like, the construct plan is real here. TJ's battlefield is just better than Zach's right now. And eventually this Goblin Bombardment will really kind of finish this game off if Zach's given enough time with double Ocelot Pride.
All right, so we're going to swing in with Tomio, get a Clue. It's going to grow these 2 constructs, and the constructs are coming in as well. It looks like they're 4, 5, 6. I just count 6, 6.
I believe 8, 8 with the Moxes up there.
Oh, I was counting them, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
4 clues, 2 constructs, 2 Moxes.
Right. Yep. Bump. Big attack here. So this is technically a lethal attack, so Spore's going to need to chump at least one of them. Looks like we're going to chump both, 1 on each.
Okay.
Now, where are we going to throw this damage at?
Yeah, throw a couple of damage if you want to deal with Emery or something, even though it's not doing a lot. The thing is, man, this game just looks so much different. TJ's already in the driver's seat, but if this Bowmaster wasn't here and TJ was able to sack these clues with any extra mana or start popping off with Rona, TJ would have this a lot quicker, to say the least. Spore's going to go face with the damage, just trying to find some way to cheese the game, right? You just want to make a bunch of tokens, use Bombardment to win that away. Probably not going to cheese it out with Arid Mesa, that's for sure. It had to be like a Johnny or Flage.
You say that. You know what card can be put into the grave?
That is a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, you got to go for it at this point. You're too far behind.
Maybe
Sack
he has
it.
all of his surveillance already. I'm not sure. I see 2 in plays. He might play 3 though.
Could be. Yeah, usually 2 or 3, and there are only 2, so not worth it.
Can't do anything fun these days.
Yeah, sometimes you're in this kind of position if you're Zach, be like, all right, so this land, I just think in my own head, be like, all right, it has to be Flage. So I'm going to play like it is Flage because I'm dead any other way.
Yeah. Spore's going to put 2 more blockers in. Those are going to block the constructs. We're going to throw those at face again. TJ down to 11.
Yeah, I guess in this world, too, maybe Sephiroth is something as well. That, that's a card that's been out of our realm for quite a while, but that would do a lot of damage the last couple turns when Zach had a little bit more of a battlefield.
TJ ticks up again. Nope, he's thinking about it. So if he bounces Bowmaster, it's usually bad because your Teferi goes down to 1, and so your opponent just gets to like play it again the next turn and then kill or attack with the 1/1 token.
Yeah.
But once it's like been in play for a few turns, you just get to bounce it, draw a card, and the static says they can't deploy it at instant speed, and so it really just gums up Zach's mana for the next few turns as well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right.
And I guess it does not see itself.
All right, so back to Spores. We have that fetch land, so we can deploy this Flage and the Bowmaster and use all 5 mana, kind of pick and choose what we target. And I think we're going to gain some life off the Flage, so the Ocelot Prides are going to make a lot of tokens on the instep.
Yeah, because we're still ascended, even though we've went down below the ascension. That we are back there for sure, so this is a big deal.
All right, so Flage going to...
So that could be 4 upstairs to 9. Ocelot Pride gets 1, 2, and then the next one gets 1 and 3. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. I think we have 8 damage without this Bowmaster. I think the Bowmaster makes it 9, 10, 11. And it might even be more because you get an amass token. I guess it immediately dies, though. You get an 0/0 amass token that doesn't have the ability to sack it.
That's right. It's a weird one.
So I think this is 11 damage from Zach here. We'll see if TJ has any responses, but kind of thinking he doesn't. Which that could have just been an absolute, just haymaker of a draw, that Flage off the top.
Yeah, anything to gain life to trigger these Ocelot Prides with that Goblin Bombardment. Zach has really just been biding his time. And TJ, maybe should have considered getting on the offensive a turn or 2 earlier, but I'm not sure if it ultimately would have mattered. Zach could have taken a few hits as well.
Yeah, it felt like TJ has this wrapped up next turn, but just 1 turn short. Oh, no.
There's a Teferi in play, and he's not deploying the
Bowmaster. Oh, no.
Is there still enough tokens? I think we're short.
Because it's 8 damage, right? 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, and he says go.
Oh, no. This is about to be like the most brutal static ability ever here. Or did we not have a second black mana or something, maybe?
That's probably it. I think we fetched a plains and...
But isn't that other one an elegant parlor? You just use that for Flage?
Yeah, but he flaged first and then he fetched, so he can't undo. So I think he just made a big misstep.
Okay. Well, that's devastating.
Well, let's see what TJ gets off of this Urza Saga, because he doesn't have a kill here just yet.
Yeah, TJ might not actually have this turn either, and then if Zach gets another turn, it's for sure all good to go.
TJ puts a Mox Amber directly to the graveyard with the Urza Saga. Probably announces floating a mana first off the previous one. I'm not sure, but...
Yeah, and then you can, regardless, start drawing a bunch of clues and try to find your combo that way. Now, the one thing that Zach can do is just sack cats to kill Kethis.
Well, yeah. Wow. So the Teferi here is going to leave play, so the statics turn back on, but we still don't have black mana.
Yeah, still don't have black, and we drew a card. What did we bounce?
I think we targeted the Goblin Bombardment, so now Spores has to make a decision right now about how he wants to interact with the tokens.
It's a solid one to target.
Yeah. I think you just have to let it come back to hand.
Yeah, probably, and just chump block just enough to stay alive. The other option, I think, is kill Kethis and just just sack 4 cats, use the other cat or 2 to block the constructs, but then you're really out of gas. And you probably don't have enough to win next turn. So, yeah, I think you're right. Just bounce it, do some chump blocking. Hope Flage and Bowmaster or Bowmaster and Bombardment can clean it up next turn.
Spores here just really trying to figure out best way to do it, but got to be kicking himself over just tapping his lands how he tapped them last turn. Had the kill in play, and now giving TJ a window. We'll see if TJ can find the kill.
Yeah, I really think he just had it wrapped up. TJ's hand looked pretty bad.
All right, so right now the Teferi is minus targeting bombardment, and in response, we're throwing 3 at face. Okay, so we're going to draw a card off the bounce. And Rona going to loot. Finds Scarlentarn to the bin.
And there's Agatha's Soul Cauldron that was just picked up. Not amazing right now. And there's not redundant copies of Emery. That's what you really want to get this combo going.
Does Agatha's actually works with Kethis as well, right?
It does, yeah.
That's cool.
Oh yeah,
So
it's Soul Cauldron's really good in this deck, that's for sure.
So TJ's floating some mana, using Emery to get back a Mox, playing the Mox. And that untaps Rona. Rona gets the loot again. And we have a Kethis in play, so we can replay the Teferi Time Raveler, bounce something else, draw a card, attack with these constructs that are extremely large.
Yeah, we need to exile the cards to be able to cast Teferi, so we're quite a ways away, but ooh, Rumble and Emery are what you want to find, and that was a fresh Rumble off the top. So if you can Rumble into, let's say, returning a legendary card like an Emery, where you're fueling your graveyard a little bit with a bunch of different legends, and remember, some of the legends that count are Otawara, Boseiju, any of those kind of channel lands, you can exile those. Yep. And with Jace and Emery here, you got to think that it's Kethis time and we're ready to go.
All right, puts an Emery into hand from the Rumble. And I think with multiple Emerys and multiple Moxen, we should just be fine to mill and draw our whole deck. And then we're going to win with Jace Perfected Mind. So TJ looks like we found the combo. And Zach Spores is kicking himself.
Yeah, really kicking himself. That was a brutal spot. Because besides that last, oopsie-doopsies of tapping that Blood Crypt there instead of your red and white lands, Zach played a really tight game.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting decisions he made early was to just start throwing damage at face, not worrying about opponent's creatures, and just like trying to find the kill.
Yeah.
And then the moment that the kill was there, just tripped.
Yep.
Tripped at the finish line.
But 100%.
But it happens. Look, you're not immune to it. I'm not immune to it. These things happen, and we'll see if he can take over the next 2 games after this Jace Mills.
And the thing that I think TJ's missing here, too, is when you cast these legends from the yard, you also get to keep untapping Rona, which is loot, 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 and keep discarding more stuff. So even missing a little bit of the combo here.
Yeah, so basically what he gets to do is make all of his legends castable, and then he mills himself for 15. And, and he can make enough mana because he gets to play all the Moxen from the graveyard. He has to exile some stuff, and eventually he'll run out of stuff if he's not too careful. But the deck is built in such a way where it's really hard to actually run out of these like legendary cards when you're full comboing.
Yeah. Now the one thing that TJ does have to worry about, it's not going to come up, but Zach does get another turn. Gets another upkeep, I should say, to cast an Orcish Bowmaster. And with Bombardment in hand, you'll still get decked out, but you can't go to 1.
Okay, so TJ is doing the thing that everyone loves, which is explaining how you're dead. I love explaining how you're dead.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So 1 Kethis activation means 4 Moxen and a Jace. And we have enough where we can do it, I think, 2 or 3 times. Zach is going to have, 15 cards milled per, and he has less than 45, so that should be mill you for 45. Look at your deck, and Zach has an option to show the deck and go to upkeep, or concede to conceal information and concedes to conceal information.
Really brutal spot there from Zach. He had it. He had it ready to go, and TJ just didn't. In general, does not have a lot of instant speed interaction, and as I'm looking at it, just no instant speed interaction in the main deck, so that for sure felt like a missed opportunity.
All right, well, Sport's going to go to the sideboard for some help for game number 2, so we're going to take a look at his sideboard. Corey, give me the rundown on that sideboard and how you think he should be boarding.
Yeah, so I think some of the big stuffs here, surgical extraction just looks phenomenal. If there's ever any Kethis in the yard, one gets milled over a rumble, something like that, you're able to clean that up straight away. We've got a couple Thoughtseize that look really good as well. Prismatic Ending, pretty solid at dealing with some of these tricky permanents. Wear Tear, anytime you see Urza's Saga, I want to bring that in. Clarion Conqueror looks good. Vindicate looks playable. Wow, Zach's sideboard is ready to go against this fringe tier 3 style deck, you know?
Yeah. All right, on the other side of the table, this Kethis combo deck, most people are probably not that familiar with it, so why don't you let us know how you think TJ is going to handle the more common Mardu matchup?
Yeah, so one thing I think that is pretty spicy is there is one of Urza's Ruinous Blast. I don't know if we're for sure bringing that in. I would hope we are, but that seems like a nice one. Exactly, yeah. Blow up the bombardments as well as the rest of the cats. Portable Holes look excellent. Having some piece of interaction for the early drops looks really good to me. You could think about the one of Pithing Needles since you already have so many Urza Sagas and just shut down your opponent's bombardments. That card is just that good. You have to deal with it. And then 2 Dismembers looks really good to me at dealing with Orcish Bowmaster. We saw how good it was. Yeah. Just make sure to just interact in any way, deal with Bowmaster in any way possible.
Apex Con and the Apex Invitational Series is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Check out Moxfield.com today. Build decks, share them with your friends, and find all of Apex Gaming's deck lists on Moxfield.com and our Moxfield page. We are also sponsored by SpiceRack GG. SpiceRack GG is tournament software you can use to locate an event near you, but if you are a store or owner that wants to run tournaments yourself, SpiceRack is great software for doing exactly that. Make sure to check out spicerack.gg today if you're a player or a tournament organizer. All right, Corey, these players here, Zach Spores, TJ Radizak, both of them play here quite a bit. You know, you've heard TJ's name every now and then on the bigger stages. What is your opinion of TJ in general?
I played against TJ a lot, actually. My first Apex event, he was my round 1, and then we were the round 1 feature match. And we played a crazy match, and I left the match very impressed. So yeah, a great player. I've seen him down when I've played a couple of these events, and it just seems like he is always sitting in that exact spot in the feature match area pretty consistently. And same with Zach, seen him a decent amount as well. So both these players can for sure game.
Both players taking a mulligan to 6 here as we get ready for game number 2. Yeah, I like talking to TJ. He's one of those kids who's just like got a really great mind for the game. Yeah. You watch him play, it's always really crispy. It's clear that he practices a ton, and it's clear that he really like understands the game on fundamental levels.
Yeah, and you know, I've went around chatting with him when it's in between rounds. He's having a good time. But when it's game time, he is laser focused. And, you know, that's exactly me as a player, too. You know, I laser focus when I'm playing. Everyone thinks I'm, like, you know, mad at them or something. I was like, no, I just need to occupy all my brainwave to play at a hopefully decently high level, as Magic's just very hard. You can get distracted and, you know, miss something very key, like a black mana, and it costs you the game.
All right, well, looks like we're ready to go here for game number 2, so let's head on down. Spore's going to be on the play here. Leads with Fetch Land. Marsh Flat's going to go looking.
And normally a deck like Kethis falls into that same kind of, you know, I keep mentioning Breach, but the similarities from Kethis and Breach are actually, you know, very apparent. And it's that type of combo where you can play a creature, and if there is a removal spell for it, you still get that activation, and then you can get the value from your card. Same with Breach. You know, you get a little bit of value before it were to blow up. So Mardu and Boros Energy decks usually struggle with these kind of matchups.
All right, Spore's going to lead with a Guide of Souls. TJ's first turn, he's going to match with a Tomio. And we got a 1-2 versus an 0-3 flyer, and we'll see Which one will break serve? Spores go into turn number 2. I see Ocelot Pride. Don't need to attack to make that one come online.
The main thing we didn't have land 2. That was a nice draw, as now we have a Johnny. Or is that double Pride? What's the middle one there?
I don't know what that far left card
Maybe
is.
the far left was a bombardment, but the one before that, I'm not sure if that was.
If that's another Pride, this is going to get out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. Might have been a Thraben Charm as well, which is also very strong.
Mm-hmm. All right, and pass the turn, so it must be something along those lines. We're going to go back to TJ, and we'll see how fast he can combo against this great start. Now,
missed the kitty cat.
Missed the token. That's the best part.
Yeah, that was gigantic.
You know, last game, Spores, a little bit of tap wrong. This time, missing a token on turn number 2. This could come back to haunt him.
Yeah, that's the one thing you can't do is let your minor mistakes stick in your brain and then compound them. You know, that's really where you can lose it. You can make one minor mistake, you can come back from that, but if you keep making them, you really make things tougher for you.
Mox Opal, the follow-up here to the Ether Spellbomb and the Clue token. So now we have the ability to tap it for mana. We're going to surveil Mistress Bauble into the grave. Pass back. Spore's going to fetch.
To the shadows of the back street.
Yeah. What's wrong with taking the back streets?
Yeah. They're nice and shadowy.
Never know if you don't go.
I don't know the reference.
That's fine. Smash Mouth?
Okay.
Hey, now.
I'm an all-star, I hope.
Yeah. All right, here's the back street. And we're going to put one into the top card. We're going to take a look, see if we want to keep it or not.
Yeah, no matter what, Zach has a pretty decent play, but everything looks a lot better if you have 2 energy here and you can jump one of these creatures. It looks like we can still do that with a Johnny here, so we can send Ocelot Pride to the skies if you want, but there's also no blocker, so maybe not fully needed to do that right away. Ooh, could be a Clarion Conqueror as well. That'd be pretty good. And if it was Clarion Conqueror, you get a little bit extra punished as you're only getting 1 more energy here and you can't jump something where, you know, you should have that extra energy, extra card. But once again, just because you have 1 less energy doesn't mean you shouldn't play it, because Clarion Conqueror looks amazing on this battlefield if TJ doesn't have one of those dismembers.
Yeah, I mean, those hate bear style creatures that we were talking about last game, it was, what was the one last game? It was Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah.
He had trouble getting off the table.
This one shuts down all the artifacts as well.
Let's get this one on the screen, Clarion Conqueror.
Yes.
We've seen it a couple times already, but this is one of the newer cards in the format. Seeing a lot of play. 3-cost, 3/3 flyer. Has a big lockdown ability for artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers. It does affect all. Sometimes these are one-sided effects, but for Clarion Conqueror, it's all. Luckily for Zach, it doesn't affect him that badly.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect him at all, except the flip side of a Johnny. Not being able to do anything with that is a real thing.
Mm-hmm. There's a Saga land number 3 for TJ.
Not attacking with that Tameo now.
Yeah, gonna get 8 up.
Yeah, and that card is just so perfect in the sideboard of these Mardu energy decks, because if it shut down enchantments, you might not be able to play that, or you'd at least have to take out your bombardments. That seems like an awkward nombo, but as it stands, this just looks phenomenal.
All right, Zach has a really nice turn lined up potentially. A couple different ways he could go. We're gonna play bombardments.
Going for bombardment of Johnny instead of getting the Ocelot Pride going. I almost would have liked Ocelot Pride, a Johnny, and then Surveil land. But this is solid as well.
Even bombardment plus Pride plus Surveil land is fine. Like, since the Ajani can't be activated, and this might be one of those spots where new hate bear card, you play your own card, you don't realize it shuts down your card.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's going to try to flip the Ajani here and then be unable to use the Planeswalker side thanks to his own card.
Yeah, that would be real bad. That would be bad for sure. But yeah, just on surface value with the Clarion Conqueror here, feels like Ocelot Pride is just a better card, especially because we would still be ascended, right? 7, 8, we wouldn't. We'd be 1 short. Uh-oh.
All right, Director, get ready to go.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
All right, let's see.
It is Planeswalkers, right? I want to make sure.
Yeah. All right, the moment he puts it into play. Oh, TJ caught it.
There it is. You can't get nothing by TJ here.
Sharp kid.
Yep, and now as I think Zach's realizing it too, where Oscillate Pride would have just looked a little bit better there.
And we're going to send for, looks like 6 damage. TJ going to soak this down to 12. Some chance he chumps with Tomio, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I would doubt it as well. All that being said, TJ has lots of nothing going on here, and TJ's pretty cold to the Clarion Conqueror. Just full stop, besides those 2 dismembers. Like,
yeah, Saga can be activated because it's an enchantment.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, you can get a blocker.
But it's a ground blocker.
I love that Tamio just attacked a Johnny as well. You gotta specify.
Give him a good whack. Here's the world's worst mountain.
I also think there should be, 2 clues on that? I think TJ represented by adding a 1 die to the clues, but...
This is why I don't like adding tokens to... or dice to tokens.
You and me both.
Because you put 2 on it, right? And you crack 1, you go from 2 to 1, right?
Yeah.
That's awkward.
You're not cracking 1 on this battlefield, I'll tell you that.
All right, Ocelot Pride, the play. We're going to smash again for 6 damage, and that's going to give us... Ocelot Pride. Do we have the City's Blessing now?
Looks like it.
Yeah,
yep.
so.
Get that extra kitty cat.
And now TJ had a virtual 2 life.
A virtual 1,
no,
right?
we could have won the game.
We could have won the game.
We sack our own Clarion to the bombardment, and then we zero Johnny, and then we do Fate.
Yep, that would have done it.
I figured it out.
That would have done it.
Put me in the feature match area.
Or play the Ocelot Pride instead of the Johnny and get that. There could have been a couple of different ways to win that game this turn, but hey, that's all right. Zach's got to feel good to get out of that game. You know, like he noticed every single time that he made a minor misstep there. And that's step 1 of being a good to great to elite player. You got to see the mistakes you're making first, and then you can start to correct them. So if I'm Zach, I'm like, all right, I got a chance at game 3. This matchup doesn't feel like that tough. Time to tighten up and close this one out and get a top 8.
Yeah. So players here shuffling up for game number 3. TJ with that Kethis combo deck going to be on the play. We haven't seen his deck look that impressive yet. He's done the Emery stuff, right? But like I've been watching these like Corey Steelcutter versions look phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so far the Kethis looks fine.
Yeah, you know, and it's tough because I am a Mox Opal enjoyer. You know, I want nothing more than to play one of those style of decks, but you know, the Corey Steelcutter has some problems where it can't combo, so it's maybe not as fast. The Jeskai Wayfinder, I believe that's what it's called. You can draw a lot of cards, but you have to play all proactiveness. You can't play a lot of reaction.
Oh, the Narset?
Yeah, the Narset there. Yeah. So there's just a lot of different ways you can make Mox Opal decks, and no clear-cut way yet.
I like 2 Narset, 2 Jeskai Ascendancy. So
okay.
So I have the Jeskai Ascendancy plus Emery 0 combo to do that, but I also just have Narset because it's sweet.
Yes. I love the it's sweet factor for sure, but
sometimes when you play Magic, you just gotta do the sweet.
Yes.
Man, come on.
And for so many years, Ross and I had the great joy of doing the sweet thing that ended up being completely busted. So, happy times.
All right, well, no more Underworld Breach for TJ. We'll see if Kethis can play a good proxy. Zach Spore's down to 6 cards on the Smulgan. Let's see if he keeps 6 or goes to 5, and then we'll be underway. I see a couple lands and some spells, so it looks like we're going to be good to go. TJ Radizak, how powerful is your turn 1?
Looks like Zach has a very needed thing for being on the draw. The way to put that into the graveyard. I think a Galvanic is in the back. And whenever you can deal with Tamio right away, it's almost always correct because it's not that hard to assemble Metalcraft when you get 1 free artifact.
Yeah, and it also turns on future Mox Ambers. So if you tap out to play like Ocelot Pride, and then they go Mox Amber, attack, Mox Opal, play Kethis on 2, plus, you know, Metallic Rebuke backup. Or,
yeah.
You know, there's always some really messed up combination of things if you give them a free clue.
100%, and Zach's doing exactly that. Maybe it wasn't a Galvanic. Maybe I missaw that, but if you ever have the option, I feel like you really, really need to kill one of these 1-mana blue cards. Speaking from someone who cast a lot of 1-mana blue cards like Tamio and Emery, whenever I got to untap with them, I felt great.
So TJ reveals a hand from this Thoughtseize. 2 Urza Sagas, Mox Opal, Agatha Soul Cauldron, and Malevolent Rumble. I'm leaning on the Rumble here, huh?
Yeah, it's uncastable. That's the kind of wrinkle in it, is you just cannot cast the Rumble.
Well, if you leave him with the, if you take Agatha Soul Cauldron and leave Mox Opal, any artifact off the top allows for the Rumble, even if it costs a mana. Right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's totally reasonable. That is a solid one. I think it really was between that and the Mox.
All right.
But now, no matter what, sorry to interrupt you, but now, no matter what, the card you just took out of Zach's hand, you get to replace with the clue you just drew. So, yeah, not a big fan of that if we had the option to kill it.
Okay, so we play Agatha's and Mox, and now we have Mana of It. And we play Emery off the top.
What do you know? The clue enabled some busted draws and threw Kethis into the yard with Soul Cauldron in play. Wow, that was worst possible.
Yeah, that was tough.
Now all of a sudden you're looking at 8 game objects in play here from TJ.
On turn number 2.
Yeah.
And you were just looking at 2.
Oof.
All right, Mountain is the play for sports. And I think the card you saw was Galvanic was a Goblin Bombardment.
Okay,
So
that makes perfect sense.
had to do the Thoughtseize, didn't have another option. We're going to eat the Thoughtseize on the opponent's graveyard, I guess just to keep, what's his face down, Flage down.
Yeah, minimize the numbers there. Yep, and then with that being the case, I think you're totally right. Not being able to kill Tamio is just a bummer, and
That's a pretty big bummer.
this is just what this deck gets to do when you get these creatures that, are untethered, like Tamio and Emery, and now you have these constructs popping off. Like, this is for sure TJ's game to win, and I'm not even looking at this from the angle of Kethis starting to do its combo things, because we're also very close to that.
Yeah, the Soul Cauldron actually is the +1/+1 counter on it is actually pretty nice. More
yeah.
so than the ability.
Yeah, I guess the only bad thing so far is we just saw Emery not get activated because we don't have an artifact yet, but we're about to.
Yeah, this Saga's going to go down in history as one of the greatest as he goes and gets literally anything.
Yeah, anything would be amazing. Bobble is the very floor of it, but even just a spell bomb, start blowing up some creatures looks amazing as well.
Okay. Shadowy Backstreet land 3 for Zach Spores. Not where you want to be facing down this battlefield. Needed that third land untapped so he could do 2 spells or play a 3-drop. We'll see what he's got with this 2 mana.
It's got to be Bombardment, right? And I mean, this is fine. You get to deal 1 damage 3 different times if you max out and kind of blow up all your own things, but it doesn't look that great, especially in the face of a construct that gets to pressure it. Like, there is no good option here for Zach.
All right. Well, let's see how he wants to take this, because it looks like we're going to go ahead and throw the token at something. We're going to target Emery, Lurker of the Lock. That transforms the Ajani. And we do have a red permanent thanks to the Goblin Bombardment. We're going to 0 and try to do a second damage to the Emery.
Hey, you can even say that.
We're going to grow it with a +1/+1 counter.
And importantly, we'll have the abilities from Emery now.
Yes, that is a good thing to note, for sure.
I mean, now you are priced into sacking that other cat.
I agree with that, and if he doesn't, something's... There we go.
But, I mean, even if you do, your Ajani falls to the construct here, so it's bad either way.
Yeah.
But I think no matter what, you're losing Ajani, so you have to live in that world. And then you got to get rid of Emery, and then if you get rid of Emery, there's still a Soul Cauldron that every creature becomes Emery, so... It's all bad.
We're going to make a construct token, and we're going to go back TJ's way. Big shout out to our sponsors for these tokens. Once Upon a Galaxy. Chapter 3 of a saga, Chapter 2 of another. We're going to make a construct, and then we're going to go get an artifact. See which one we go grab.
And if we get a Mox here, a Mox Amber, and we have another land, you just get to make another construct?
Yeah.
Or I guess you can just get Mox Opal, Legend Rule, Float, bring it back with Emery. If you don't have a land here, this Mox doesn't facilitate making another construct, but I don't know. TJ could pretty much blindfold himself, act at random, and he's probably got this game on lock.
All right, looks like we're attacking with one of these constructs that's summoning 6, so Zach catches that immediately, points it out. We're going to send 2 things out of Johnny. Token's going to block 1, and then Johnny's going to go to 1. I guess Agatha Soul Cauldron actually comes in as well. So I
was going to say, leaving Tamio back 2, just flexing, be like, I don't need it.
Well, before damage, we can still grow.
Yeah.
And so this is not going to work out that well for spores anyway.
And now everything is a Kethis as well, as far as the activated abilities go.
Okay, so everything's a Kethis, everything's an Emery with a 1/1 counter on it.
The activated abilities, one distinction to keep separate, I guess, is the fact that it doesn't have the static.
Yes.
Shucks.
It's not quite a Kethis. It's
Yeah.
Kethis light.
Yes.
Kethis with the good hair. All right, and TJ with that untapped Besage, you also can make another construct thanks to that Mox and Spores here just in a world of hurt. I don't think he's got a way out. True Surgical Extraction. That's awkward.
The constructs are about to be Blightsteel Colossuses. They're about to be 11/11s, though, so, it's going to close this game out. There's no unbeatable boots in the deck from TJ to really, attack for over 50, but...
All right. I'll make a pact with you right now, Corey.
Yeah.
It's whenever we play Urza Saga, we always play one Lava Spur boots. You and I both every time, and if we don't, we have to do something like you owe the other person a cheeseburger.
I mean, I unfortunately can't make that deal because I usually play 2 boots because it's so good to draw naturally. Okay, that's fine.
We can even play the sub game. Who plays the most boots?
Okay. Yeah, I'll take your money.
All right, TJ there takes a very easy game number 3 and wins the match against Zach Sports Mardu deck. So
Yeah.
got this combo. Maybe putting a stamp on the metagame here. TJ and his deck now moving to 4-1, I believe.
Yeah, and honestly, TJ or Zach played that game perfectly. The fact that there wasn't a Galvanic, there was absolutely no mistakes from Zach that game at all. And it was just TJ running on high efficiency. His deck looked amazing, and being on the play in a good matchup looked awesome there.